All right, let's talk about The Sandman Season 1, a Netflix original, very costly production of $15 million per episode, 11 episodes total, so $165 million total. That's, almost the same price as a Marvel movie. But anyways, for reference, I am a huge Sandman fan. I've read the original 10 graphic novels and the prequel. Haven't read the short story collection, the newer one. But I'm a huge fan of the artwork, the story. I'm familiar with it, so I was very excited to see what the Sandman was going to be. And with a high budget, I was pumped for it, and I gotta say, bit of a mixed bag. There are certain parts of this series that I love and some that I dislike, that irked me a little bit. I usually give any television show or anime or any show 3 episodes to hook me. If they don't hook me by episode 3, I usually abandon it. And in this case, I almost abandoned it because the first couple episodes start off really rough. The first episode is based, the first 5 episodes, I believe, are based off of the first graphic novel, Preludes and Nocturnes. So the storyline, not deep spoilers, but this is just like the basic premise, is about 7 beings, cosmic beings of sorts, that are embodiments of different aspects of humanity life. So we're following Morpheus, the Lord of Dreams. He is captured by a low-level sorcerer with a spell book and imprisoned under a mansion. And while that's happening, there's a sleeping sickness that's affecting people, and Dream basically is just waiting to escape. And his captors are getting older, and basically after he's able to escape many years later, he finds the world in disarray, and he must find the 3 magical totems that were taken from him. So the first episode is basically just the premise, and the second one is basically his escape and trying to get the items, and then episodes 3, 4, and 5 are getting 1 item each. So after that, though, the series takes a bit of a turn. Episodes 6 to 11 are all based off of 2 graphic novels, so it's a little bit scattershot and a little bit different. Episode 6, I believe, covers his sister Death, and then episode 7 is about, that one also encompasses a classic character from the comics that I really liked. Really great storytelling with that. And then as we go further on, we introduce new characters from volume 2 of the graphic novel, The Doll's House and Dream Country. And it's a little bit unfocused. I didn't like, the pacing of the second half. It was really different, and the story was a little bit simplistic. Let's start with what I loved. Episode 5, 24/7 is what it's called. It's based off of the issue. It's a bottle episode, so it all takes place in one location. It's basically about one of the antagonists of the series using this magic item called the Dreamstone to mess with the patrons of a diner. And I believe in the comic it's a little bit different because he makes them live their wildest dreams and sort of keeps them there captured until Dream shows up. The show is a lot darker and a lot better developed. It's probably one of the finest hours of television I've ever watched, just straight up. It's a perfect adaptation of that issue, captures the sort of immensity and the scope of the story for a big finale as Dream has to face him and get his final item. There is some cool magic stuff going on in episode 4. That's the one with Lucifer. Basically, Morpheus goes to hell to get one of his items back, and he has a magical duel with someone, and it's a bit different from the comic, but it's still, rich in visual effect. Let's focus on the stuff I didn't like. There's quite a bit. First off, the dialogue's pretty bad. It treats you like a stupid person. Now I have, I'm not like other viewers. I have, reference from the original comic book, so I know what's going to happen. So I'm a little bit familiar, but the show treats you like a dullard. It basically telegraphs stuff before it happens. The equivalent would be like a villain showing up and saying, "I'm going to shoot you with a gun." And then he pulls out a gun and shoots you. You don't have to do that. And the show does that multiple times. It also explains stuff to you like a child. There's a scene where he's like, "I have to visit the Fates." And then Lucien goes, "Oh, the Fates, the 3 of them, they, require a sacrifice. Are you going to be okay?" And it's like, he knows all this stuff. You're just saying that for the audience. And some of the expositional dialogue is very clunky, and I didn't like it. And this happened a lot in the first 2 to 3 episodes. Another thing I didn't like was some of the casting. Now, a lot of people accuse Sandman of being woke. And there's even a line in the final episode, like the bonus episode, where a character shouts about how he wants everything to be diverse. At least half the cast has to be diverse. It felt a little bit on the nose. knows. But there are a lot of major race swaps and one gender swap, which is not a big deal. But for me, it was really distracting because they change about 4 major characters and 1 minor. And I was trying to figure out who's who because I've already read the book. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so Lucien's black, and so is Death, and so is Rose, and so is Jed, and so is Rosemary. And I'm just like, it kind of felt like they were trying too hard, to be honest. I don't mind a diverse cast, but when you try to make every single person, you know, one race or to overcompensate, it ends up a little weird. Didn't mind Joanna Constantine's swap, but they did that just because people would be confused with, you know, Constantine and all the different versions we've had with the show and Keanu Reeves and the animated stuff, and I guess they just didn't want to deal with that. But you know, sometimes it got a little annoying. The show also wastes some of the cast. I mean, David Thewlis is amazing as John Dee, but Charles Dance is only in there for 1 episode. That's a crime. Gwendolyn Christie is really great as Lucifer, but a couple other things too, like the villains, sometimes they're a little bit too camp, you know? Like, I understand that the show is trying to introduce these threats, but they seem a little cartoonish at times. Especially the first episode has no confidence, because at the end of the episode, 5-minute teaser of just all the stuff that's going to happen. It's almost like they don't have any faith that the people are going to keep watching. And I felt that was really like lazy and weird. Like you don't trust people. You have to like have this big 5-minute teaser to be like, if you keep watching, you're going to get cool stuff later. And obviously you have to entice viewers now because Sandman's such a large encompassing story, you know, over 10 graphic novels and like worlds and like huge battles and arcs and, you know, large things happening. And we're only doing 3 volumes out of 10. So I understand the showrunners have to like entice you now, and you can only tell so much story, but sometimes the show just didn't seem very confident in itself, especially like the full of expositional dialogue. Sometimes the acting wasn't that great from some of the characters, like Rose. Didn't really like her. She was really cringy at the end with her, you know, I'll destroy you with my powers and things like that. And, you know, a lot of characters just seemed, you know, introduced. Great casting for others. I didn't like the casting of the actor. They played Desire, too campy. But I liked the drag queen actor. Really good actor. And you know, you got like obviously other good ones too in there. A lot of famous British people, but sometimes other characters are not British or they don't resemble the comic book character, which is fine. But you know, sometimes it just. Oh yeah, another thing is sometimes the visuals just aren't that good. You know, I know it's 15 million per episode, but like there's a scene in episode 3 where Morpheus goes to hell with his new Raven, and basically they're walking through a giant CGI landscape. It doesn't attempt to look real at all, and it kind of takes you out of it for me a little bit because, you know, other sets are real, like Lucifer's hall is real, so like that looks really cool, but like other stuff just looks really fake-ish. Like unless you're in the Dreaming, I don't care about that. The Dreaming can look fake because it's the Dreaming, but like when you're in hell and it just looks really meh, looks really like you're walking through a CGI landscape. I just didn't really like that at all. And, you know, overall, Sandman's a mixed bag for me. You know, I'll obviously watch season 2. I just felt like the series could have been a lot better. They made a lot of major changes to the storylines and things like that, which is not a big deal. You don't have to do everything verbatim because this is a different medium. But, you know, I just kind of feel like Tom Sturridge, he does a good job, but he's not pale enough, you know? Dream's supposed to be like a waifish pale man. And then, you know, everyone's supposed to be pale. The Endless are supposed to be like super pale, and they're not. Which is fine, but, you know, I felt that some of the depictions of the other Endless were not very good. Like Desire, Despair, and Death were just only okay. You know, they were the weakest parts of the show for me. I like the human actors better because they get some really good talent in there. But overall, those are my thoughts on The Sandman Season 1.